morning, Bernie. It's Mark Bossert here. We're talking about Rivian today. How you doing?
Doing well. It's an exciting topic.
So Rivian is a new electric vehicle company. No, well, not that new, actually, it turns out. They've been around since 2011. Started off as a normal vehicle company and quickly morphed into an autonomous driving and electric vehicle company in 2011. Have been designing and coming up with the ideas for these vehicles for a while. And of course, we're talking about the biggest vehicle segment in North America. The highest selling individual vehicle is a pickup truck. And they're making a pickup truck and an SUV. What do you think about that?
It's pretty amazing. It's like you said, it's a popular category, and there's a lack of that in the marketplace. And Rivian it's taken it on in an amazing way. Like with their specifications of this vehicle is awesome. Like the power, the range, the towing capacity, the off-road capability. I mean, they've just created an incredible vehicle.
So let's maybe talk a little bit about Rivian's philosophy, where they came from, where they're going. In some respects, I think if we compare it to, say, the other really large, and I would put them in that category as being really large. They have over 1,000 employees and close to $2 billion in investment so far. That's Rivian. Tesla started with a clean sheet and decided to build everything themselves, which is a way to go. It might be slightly more expensive. Rivian's gone the other way. They said, you know what, there's a whole infrastructure in place. Let's use that infrastructure for the things we need, and we'll build out what we're really good at. So we'll build our own battery packs, we'll build our own battery control system and motor system, etc., and drivetrain, all that stuff. But if we need tie rod ends or braking systems, etc., we'll actually use what's already in place in Detroit and around Detroit, which is a massive infrastructure. You think about, three of what used to be the largest companies in the world were Chrysler, Ford, and GM. They're supplied with massive amounts of small companies or rather large companies building parts for them that are then used on their vehicles. And Rivian is just plugged into that same idea, as well as also saying, you know what, we'll take what we have, our expertise, what we're really good at, the skateboard platform, if you want to put it that way, and we'll talk more about that, and sell that. We're not going to hold on to it and not share it with anybody else. You can put your stuff on top of our platform, and it's built to be adjustable so that it will merge to other vehicle bodies on top of that, which I think is really very, very smart.
It's a brilliant idea. I remember quite a few years, maybe 20 years ago, I saw this concept that GM had of exactly the same kind of idea of a car where you could just kind of plug in whatever, like an electric platform, where you could plug in, like we could just just drop a body of a small sedan on top, and then you just plug everything in and away it goes. Or, and the Rivian's actually done that, ahead of, GM had the concept a long time ago, and I'm sure other automakers did, but Rivian's actually gone, hey, let's do this thing. And they've made it. It's
pretty smart, I think.
Oh yeah, it is very smart.
But then, it all comes down to execution. And so what they have coming out next year, they have test models in the field running right now, doing extensive testing. I just saw some pictures posted on the Rivian forum of Rivians in the SUV and the pickup truck being tested in Tierra del Fuego in Argentina. It's winter down there, and they're testing in extreme conditions. There's a pickup truck and the SUV. They're both built on the same platform. 0 to 60 in 3 seconds. 11,000 pound towing capacity. 3 different kilowatt-hour battery configurations, up to 180 kilowatts and up to 753 horsepower. 4 motors. So a motor for each drive wheel,
And
four-wheel
these can be
drive.
combined as well and altered depending on where the torque's needed. So
Yeah, torque vectoring.
yeah, torque vectoring. So you again for off-roading, it's fantastic.
It's unbelievable performance is really what it comes down to. It's there isn't a pickup truck that compares other than perhaps maybe some of the most extreme ones, and they would actually be fairly close in some of the other specifications. Like I'm thinking of the range of the vehicle, which is that the top end is 410 miles of range, which is pretty impressive. That's the biggest range of any vehicle that's been produced so far. They're not, you can't buy one today. They're taking reservations. They have tens of thousands of reservations. These things are going to be a massive hit. There's no two ways about it. They already are.
Yeah. You know what I love? The other thing about the company philosophy that I love is they're building this truck for real off-road use. It's not like, we work on a lot of Range Rovers in our shop, and it's like, yeah, those are great off-road vehicles, but everyone who buys them just drives around the city. But but this truck is really thought out for off-road with great ground clearance, and we didn't talk about, you can actually go through 42 inches of water. Although they say that if you if you go through anything deeper, the vehicle will float. So if you pack it full of weight, haul a bunch of lead around, you can probably go to deeper water, which is incredible. At 40, that's over a meter deep of water, and
which is pretty damn good. 14-inch clearance height, but it's adjustable. It's an adjustable air suspension. But all the battery pack is like got a ballistic layer underneath it with Kevlar and other materials to protect the battery pack on the bottom in case you're running over, stuff you shouldn't really be running over. Off-road use is like that. But also the battery pack's very sealed and so are the motors, so that you can go through that kind of deep water and not hurt anything. The vehicle will just keep chugging along. Very, very powerful, very, very flexible, and well thought out. Really, I really like the very different looking trucks are going to stand out on the road. Both vehicles. The pickup truck is my favorite. I think I'm seriously in the market for one of these. Actually, the pass-through tunnel is really a brilliant.
That's so cool. Yeah, and actually, I got to talk about the stove. So there's a video that shows this camping setup or through in this pass-through tunnel, you can get a cooking. It's like a cooking setup. It slides out of the pass-through tunnel, and there's a what's it? The
Inductive
cooktop. So it uses the electric batteries of the vehicle, and they say that you can cook for a week. Now, this is with the 180 kilowatt battery pack. It'll use 11% of your battery power, which is phenomenal. Because that's incredible. Like, so you've still got lots of juice to head back into town, but it's got like there's a little, electric kettle, and I'm going like, this is incredible. Because to me, like, I always think of, batteries just not having enough juice to cook anything, but like they've actually done that. Like, you can drive it, you can cook. There's a tent you can set up, so you could actually go like, self-sufficient camping with this vehicle. Just charge the battery up and drive 100 kilometers into wherever 100 miles into wherever you're going, cook for a week. And it's actually they even have like a plug-in electric fridge or a cooler in the front too, which I kind of get the feeling is not fully refined yet, but it looks like it. It's by the time they're out in the market, they'll have that all figured out too. It's pretty cool.
So the size of the vehicle is really interesting. Like let's just talk about the pickup right now, because it's basically a 136-inch wheelbase, which is just kind of between, if you think of a Toyota Tacoma midsize, that's what they call it. It's between the single and double cab version of a Tacoma, slightly less than a Ford 150, basically. And some of the other details about the vehicles, they have a massive frunk, over 3 liters of space in where the motor would normally be on a pickup truck. In the bed itself is all lined, and it's got its own built-in cover, so you don't have to worry about adding aftermarket products like that. The tailgate folds down all the way down, so it flows down completely perpendicular to the bed, with little steps so you can step in and out. The pass-through tunnel we were talking about actually runs across the vehicle. So it runs from behind, where it's a 4-door pickup truck. So it's got in behind the back seat, there's a space that's generally wasted on pickup trucks, or is your junk collector if you've got
or it's hard to get to because you got to flip the seat forward and you throw the stuff back there and get out. So this is like, it's brilliant thinking.
Yeah, so they just slatted the body forward and made a space between the body and where the pickup bed starts. And in that space, it's quite large. You can put skis or snowboards or almost a set of golf clubs, I think.
I'm sure you could fit a set of golf clubs. If you can fit a snowboard, you could probably do golf clubs.
So it's depends on how big your bag is.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
And it's really the fold out on it. This is what I like the best on a lot of the things is the fold out. You flip the lid down basically on the side, and it's a seat or even a stair if you need to get up on top. If you've got the roof racks on and you've got stuff on top of the vehicle, you can get access to that really easily. So it's really, really well thought out. Beyond what anyone has done on pickup trucks, kind of taking some of the ideas like the Dodge Ram and its little box in the fenders, which was a brilliant idea in my opinion, but this has taken it to a whole new level of here's how to maximize the space in the vehicle. And that's one of the things I love about these new companies coming along, is they're really thinking outside the box. As well, they're going to be semi-autonomous. They're going to have level 3 semi-autonomy, so you'll be able to have some functions of self-driving. And the company's philosophy is that they know that at some point in the near future, cars will be driving themselves, and they want to be part of that. They want people to still have the ability to go out in the woods, get out in nature, do your adventure driving and hiking and exploration, skiing, and the vehicle to provide it is going to be a Rivian.
Yeah, which is kind of neat. I just think about the autonomous feature because it's kind of nice sometimes when you're out, off-roading. Sometimes the best thing to be doing is looking out the window at the scenery and the mountains, and it's kind of neat having the car driving. Of course, I don't know how I'd feel. I've driven on some logging roads where the edge is 1,000-foot cliff. I don't know. I don't know that I'd want to actually let go of the wheel, but it's kind of neat. Maybe those really narrow ones I'd want to hold on, but for some of the wider kind of roads, it'd be pretty neat being able to look out the window and let the car do some of the driving.
Well, I don't know that at some point the car is a better driver than we are. So
yeah. Well, this is it. It's just a matter of trust.
Yeah, absolutely. And the SUV is no slouch. Of course, it's built on the same platform, uses the same, drivetrain. It's basically a 7-seater SUV. I think it's both the 105 and the 135 kilowatt hour. So the base model, the kind of mid-range model, both come with 7 seats. The bigger model with the 180 kilowatt hour, they must be using a little bit of that space in the back because that's only a 5-seater.
Is it really?
Yeah, you can't get it with the 7.
Okay.
And they use the same sort of technology. There's 7,000, with using the cells of small battery, like laptop style battery cells all linked together. So 7,776 cells in the battery pack, and the 180 kilowatt hour pack, which is a lot of batteries.
Yeah.
That's almost double of what like a top end Tesla has. There's some things that we don't know for sure. where are they going to service these vehicles? You know, Tesla has a whole plan where they have roving people. If you have a problem, they'll come to you and try and fix the car or replace the car with another Tesla, basically, and take yours in for service and then swap them out when they fixed it. Tesla doesn't have dealers or dealer showrooms to speak of, or very, very few. I think there might be.
They've shut all of them down in Vancouver anyways.
Oh, they've closed them both?
I believe so.
Yeah. And so I don't know about Rivian. Are they going to have dealers? Are they going to partner with somebody? They've got it's close to $2 billion in funding that was led in different rounds. The last kind of big ones, there was a round that was 700 million that was led by Amazon and a bunch of investors who were already deeply into the company. And then Ford put in 500 million later on. And Ford has actually used their skateboard to showcase their upcoming
F-150.
Electric F-150.
Yeah.
So, which pulled £1 million on a railway car. Just good on you, Ford.
Yeah.
welcome to the 2020s.
I was going to say the other thing about Rivian that's cool, because I do have an RV trailer, and you know, you think, you know, again, towing capacity is a big fat thing in pickup trucks. So these are not large trucks, but they've got 11,000 pound capacity, which far exceeds an F-150, you know, or you know, any half ton truck. So that's that's up in the range of a 3/4 ton truck for towing capacity. So that's pretty awesome. And because they don't talk about I'd be curious to know what kind of range you'd get if you're towing an 11,000 pound trailer down the highway. I'm sure, you know, it probably cut your range in half, but
yes, that's estimates for sure.
Yeah. You know, but
and of course it depends on the what road and how big a trailer, of course.
Exactly. Yeah. But I was saying, like, if you had like an 11,000 pound trailer going, well, uphill will be a lot worse. But, you know, if you're just driving on a flat highway, you'd probably, you know, cut your electricity usage would probably go up, you know, double, close to it, perhaps. But nonetheless, you've got the capability to do that. And so that's what I love about this company is, you know, they've taken all those again, those factors of, electric cars or electric motors can't do this. Well, yes, they can. They can do everything and way better.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, it's got some pretty impressive attack angles. It can go up 45-degree slopes. It can handle all kinds of stuff. I mean, with the ability to actually turn the wheels in different directions at different, you know, at needed times in, you know, really tough terrain. Mm-hmm. This is a vehicle that's going to be very difficult to get stuck, I would suggest.
Yeah. Unless you have bald tires.
Yeah. Well, they're working even on anything. Yeah, this is, even though it's kind of a clunky looking in some ways, you'd say, look at this first and go, wow, this is really this pushes a lot of air. It's probably the most aerodynamic. It is the most aerodynamic pickup truck and SUV that's ever been built.
Really?
Yeah. Because of the way they're flowing the air underneath the car. Again, the skateboard platform that allows them to, you know, it's part of the vehicle that we don't really consider that much when it comes to aerodynamic, but it's F1. If you study that at all, it'll tell you that's probably the most important airflow on the vehicle. And so they've got that smoothed out really well. And I don't know, that I'm just a big fan of Rivian and what they're doing. They're the tires they're working on, they're making the tires more not aerodynamic, but more longer lasting and less rolling resistance. They're working with Pirelli pretty exclusively to make the least amount of rolling resistance and get the maximum amount of distance out of those electrons that you possibly can. Yeah. So I think that we covered it a little bit. They again, like I said, their main headquarters are in Plymouth, Michigan. So in the Detroit area of the massive automotive world. Their plant is in Normal, Illinois. They bought out a mothballed Mitsubishi plant in Midwest, and got a good deal on it, of course, and all the stamping equipment and all the stuff to get going. And they've got over 1,000 employees and are starting to produce the trucks that are going to be debuting next year. By mid to late next year, people will be getting deliveries of their Rivians.
Yeah. It's neat to see, you know, again, it's another American car success story. It seems like cars are kind of the American thing. And, you know, I see the U.S. has kind of fallen away from a lot of leading edge technology, but we're at the, you know, with electric vehicles, they're really at the forefront with Tesla, now Rivian, and there's others we're going to be talking about.
Well, I think it's really, it's very inspiring to see that, you know, they've taken all that, their lead in technology in like from Silicon Valley and, you know, the world of smartphones and computers, and applying that tangentially or directly to, you know, automobiles in a way that never has happened, that was frankly taken away by Japan over the last few years, and to some extent Europe, Porsche, Audi, and BMW, etc. But they've grabbed it back and are laying a whooping on them. I just read, you know, Tesla Model 3 is the number 3 selling car in Great Britain.
Wow. That's amazing.
So, all right. So next week, well, first of all, thanks so much for listening to the podcast. We'd really like to hear from you. Your feedback, what you think about what we're saying, how goofy I sound. We'd like to hear what you might like to hear about soon. Your love notes to Bernie as well. Next week, we're going to talk about Porsche or Porsche, whichever flavor you love the most. Their new model, their Taycan, or I've heard it's pronounced many ways.
We'll call it the Porsche. We'll call it the Porsche Taycan. How's that?
Sure.
Yeah.
We'll Canadianize it. And the unique features that they've got in that car was there's some really cool stuff that's going on with it. There's some stuff that I kind of go, huh? But it's a pretty amazing vehicle. Mostly my is around how much the damn thing costs. But where's Porsche going with all their stuff, and maybe even touching on how they're combining the platform that they're building that they'll be able to use across all their model lines. Something that they've done in the past years with like their SUVs and some of the other products.
Yeah. So
exciting times. Yes. Thank you for listening. Thanks, Bernie.
Thanks, Mark. And thanks for watching and listening. We really appreciate it.